Finally, my man, we finally get together. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for taking the time and coming on the show.
Thanks for having me on. What an honor. I'm looking forward to our chat.
Yeah. So, I mean, most everybody knows your background. I mean, I could probably give you the bio. Growing up in England, um, really good junior player, played on the national team. Right, you come to the states, play at Purdue. You have a nice little college career, and then turn pro, and then you get hurt, right? So I kind of wanted to pick it up there because I think it's important. It's a common story, obviously, but it sounds like you were a fantastic player. So tell us sort of how that led to you getting into coaching and then where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where, even when I was at the Purdue team, on the Purdue team, I just had a good eye for like the shape of the swing and like how that shape kind of affected the ball flight. And a lot of the players on the Purdue team would like come and ask for my advice, and I just absolutely loved it. And then when I turned pro, I didn't really have a coach, so I had a couple of mentors or some consultants, but I had my parents buy me a camcorder, because no iPhones back then.
Oh yeah, I remember
Aging
those days.
myself there.
Yep.
And I would just stand on the range and just pick my swing apart. And I'm like, oh, if I can just get my swing perfect, I'll be on PGA Tour tomorrow. And just did huge deep dives into like every instructor, every golf swing. And I look back now and I turned myself from a player into a coach.
Hmm.
And as my swing started to get better, my golf started to get worse. So it was pretty obvious
Better
that I was.
better looking, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to hit the P1, P2, P3, because that's what Tiger Woods is doing, and I'm thinking,
sure.
oh, like that, I'm going to be on the PGA Tour, or if my swing's perfect, and it's the straighter I started to hit it, the worse my misses became. So when I played well, I played really well, and when I played badly, I couldn't keep it on the planet. And as you're playing professional golf, like that's no good at all.
Hmm.
And then in my second year, I got a bulging disc in my back, really bad sciatica. Took 8 to 9, 10 months off, and when I came back, I was just rubbish. Just not doing the right things, just spending money. And at that time, a lot of the mini tour guys would come to me for advice. And again, I just had a good eye for it. Just sort of understood the mechanics enough, understood ball flight laws just enough to be probably a little bit dangerous back then. But like the mini tour guys I was playing against were like actually having some good success, and then more
Yeah.
and more mini tour players would come to me, and I just remember just being way more interested in how their game was doing rather than like how my game was doing. And I realized I'm in the wrong profession. I'm just far enjoyed like in helping those guys out than I did like even on my own game.
Yeah,
So I sort of.
you've got the reverse journey for the most of us, right? Like
Yeah,
we kind of started teaching average golfers, and then hopefully teach some good players. You started teaching good players right out of the gate.
straight out the gate. Yeah. And so when I actually like officially said, "Hey, I'm going to be a coach," I had like 10 mini tour guys right out the gate, which led to teaching the best juniors in San Diego, and like, they started doing really well and getting great college scholarships, and then got fortunate enough to have an opportunity to work with some really good LPGA pros who ended up doing really well too. So all of us are lucky to get a shot, but you just have to be ready
Yeah.
with the right information when you get that opportunity. So yeah, I
What
was
was
very
your first
fortunate.
job though? Like what? Like you say you just decided to be a coach. Like you can't just do that. I mean, obviously, you
Yeah,
guys can find a range, but like,
yeah,
did you get hired at a club or like? I know where you are now, which is like
yeah,
ridiculous. You
yeah.
can talk about that and how that came about, but like, how
Sure.
was that? How does that first little jump to like, okay, I want to coach, but like, where am I going to coach and what am I going to do?
So I kind of just like slowly stalled my playing career. And one of the guys at the club I was at, Santa Luz, he was a trader, and he said, "Hey, like Chris, I could really do with someone like you with some like international experience. I'm trying to get some trading companies in England and in Europe. I want someone to like move into Asia." He's like, "You're going to make a ton of money." And at the time I'm running for cars at Valet, making $10 an hour, and he's saying I'm going to be making 100 grand, and I'm like, oh, sign me up for that. That sounds incredible. So I actually started day trading.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God.
I did that for a minute.
Yeah. and trading this guy's money, and I'm like 2 days in, and I'm like, this is not for me at all. And this is 2007, and then the financial crisis happened, right? The Great Recession.
Not a good time to get in the stock market.
No, terrible time. So I'm losing my ass over there, just getting crushed on that. And anyway, so I would go to the office at like 4 a.m. and then be there until 1 when the market's closed. And then in the afternoon, these mini tour guys were like, hey, can you come watch me hit some balls at the local range? So I would just hit some balls at the local range. And then some guys from Santa Luz would start wanting lessons, and then they would tell all the members, hey, I'm getting way better with Chris. So all of a sudden, I'm doing 5-6 hours an afternoon in my flip-flops and board shorts at the local surf and turf range.
You were the original Gigi.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, my career, my coaching career has just taken off. I'm doing more lessons than the actual coaches there.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, it's so funny, Jason. I had this new lesson with this member, and I said to him, I was like, buy a bucket of balls. Don't ask for me. I'll be the guy in the flip-flops and board shorts at the end of the range. He goes in there. He's like, hey, I've got a lesson with Chris Mayson.
Oh, gosh.
I know. So the general manager comes out. He says, are you Chris Mayson? I said, yeah. And he said, like, you can't teach it. And I said, please, can I have a spot? Like, I'm doing 30 hours a week at this point, like just pretending to be a coach. And he's like, no, you've got to leave. And then just complete luck. Like, I was devastated, by the way. 2 days later, some guy at La Costa who I used to work with said, hey, I hear you're doing a bunch of lessons with good players. I'm going to start the La Costa Golf Academy. Do you want to be involved? And I started crying. I was like, you cannot believe what great timing this is. I'm like, I have no interest in being a day trader. Like, I absolutely love coaching, and it's like, I really want to do it. So then I started at La Costa, which was an amazing place for me to be.
Where are you now? Rancho Santa Fe? Is that where you're at currently?
Yeah. So I'm at Rancho Santa Fe Golf Club.
Yeah. So when did you go to that place?
I was at La Costa for about 4 years, I believe, 2007 to 10ish, and then the general manager at Medeiros just said, hey, like, we're looking for someone like you to start a Medeiros Golf Academy. And so I moved up to Medeiros, did Medeiros Golf Academy presented by Chris Mayson, brought some other coaches on, and was there for about 12 years. And it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. There was a high-end public facility, weren't really any members there, which was ideal, because all I wanted to do was teach like really elite juniors and pros. We had the back of the range there. It was always in good condition. The course was fabulous. So I was very grateful to be at Medeiros, and I was there until 2022 before I got the job here at National. So worked out well.
So National's your main gig now, if that's like, or is it just a summer?
Yeah, I just do the summer. Yeah. So, I was not really looking for a job at all. And I was on the putting green at the Players Championship and overheard Rick Smith and Todd Anderson, a couple other tour coaches, talking about a job. And just as a joke, I was like, oh, like, what job's that? I need a new job. And they're like, oh, really? National's looking for a director of instruction. And I said, oh, what's National? And Keegan Bradley and Brendan Steele turned around and were like, what's National? How do you not know what National is? And I was like, I don't know. I'm an English kid living on the West Coast. And they're like, oh, National Golf Links of America. It's one of the top premier clubs in the entire world.
So good.
Yeah. And I said, all right. And Keegan's like, you got to go for this job. It's going to change your life. And I'm like, what do I don't want to teach amateurs. Like, why would I want to teach amateurs? And he's like, just see. And Brendan's like, go for the job, see what happens. And I had a call with a guy on the board literally that night. And I got off the phone and said to my wife, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this job sounds incredible. She says, well, just go for it and see what see if you get it. And the guy called me back like 2 seconds later. He goes, what do we need to do to get you to the National?
Oh my gosh.
And I said, hey, like if you can do these things for me, I would seriously consider it. And then went through the interview process and got fortunate enough to get the job. And now here I am sitting in a house in the Hamptons working with some of the greatest people on earth.
That's ridiculous. So, we're going to talk. Well, I want to talk mostly about your elite players, but we do have to have a little time talking about teaching like the average golfers like we do most of the day,
Yeah.
and the difference, because there is a big difference,
There's
I
a
think.
big difference. Big
Right.
difference. Yeah.
So I just had Adam Harrell on the podcast last week, and we talked about his journey with Michael Brennan, which was really really cool.
Yeah.
And so I want to know about, your Ricky Castillo. I don't know. I'm sure he wasn't the first tour player that you started coaching, but you started coaching him very young, because I want to kind of paint a picture of like how there's a difference between developing players, which we rarely get to like take them from like junior to PGA Tour winners. And what we do a lot of times just get players when they're really good,
Yeah.
and then we try to make them better. So talk about like when you met Ricky, and like what was your first impression, and sort of paint the picture of like the journey you guys have been on. And it's really really cool to see. And
Yeah.
obviously you just won, and amazing player, amazing talent. Well, and I want to dig into the weeds a little bit too about like kind of what you
Yeah.
guys work on.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us get lucky, right? Like, I don't believe there's any way like a coach makes a player. Like, I honestly do not believe that. I think the player makes the coach, and the coach knows enough to help and guide and keep the player on the tracks. And maybe you just make that 1% of difference that's going to make the difference. But Ricky was an incredible talent when he came to me. I'll never forget. I was before I even started teaching him, I was teaching his brother. Derek, who's an incredible player in himself. He played for the West in the Cannon Cup back then, the Wyndham Cup now. He had a full ride to UNLV. He was a phenomenal top 10 player in the country, and he was struggling, and he came to me, and I managed to get him sorted out. But while I was there, I saw Ricky came to one of the lessons just to have a look. And there was a little short game area down there at Madeiras with a bunch of trees. And I look over, I'm in the middle of Derek's lesson, and I look over and I'm like, I can't stop looking at this kid. He's like slicing it, and he's hooking it, and he's flopping it over these trees that are so tall, and he's like whacking it off the tree trunk and like trying to spin it off side slopes. And I've never seen anybody being so creative, like ever in my entire life. And the kid's 12 or 13 years old with unbelievable hands. And I'm like, holy shit, that's something special there. And then Derek started getting much better, and 2 months later, he wrote a very nice email and said, "Mr. Mason, is there any chance I can come and get coached by you?" And he was 12 or 13 years old, and
wow.
He ended up being the number one junior player in the country. He ended up being the number one amateur in the world. He Monday qualified into his first ever Corn Ferry and won it, and then got his PGA Tour card, and then won on the PGA Tour this year. So it's been, I mean, just so amazing as a coach to be able to be on that journey with him. And he's so talented. I just was lucky enough to be the person to help him. And hopefully this is not the end destination. Like, he's got very, very high aspirations to be one of the best players in the world. And I'll do everything I can in my power to help him get there.
Yeah, because you made the playoffs, right? And you didn't make the tour championship, or you'd be in Atlanta right now. But still a really, really good season. Kid's a cut making machine, right? I was looking at his stats. I mean, a good start for a young pro. But give us some stories of like, how did you train him? Like, what were those early days? Was there any like sort of moments where you're like, I mean, you seemed like you had a very early aha moment, like this kid could be special, but you never know, right? We've seen kids that look really good at 13 or 14 and then fizzle out. But like, any stories of like how you sort of developed his talents? Come up the ranks.
So interesting. Like, Ricky doesn't really like to practice. Like, he's a player. He doesn't love to hit balls. He loves to go out with his buddies and compete and just try and shoot as low as he can. He loves playing tournaments. So I was very careful to like not strip the genius out of Ricky Castillo, right? Like, I didn't get too technical with anything that he was doing. I got him to understand like the relationship of path and faith and how it was changing his ball flight. I tried to give him this blueprint where he understood, hey, like if you're hooking it, you're doing this. If you're slicing it, you're doing this. And this is how you fix it, sort of this error detection. And then just sort of like put some polish on what was, his swing's always been unique. I would say it's very, very stable now. He's a wonderful ball striker.
Hmm.
But it
Talk
was
about
quite
that. Like, what do you mean unique? Because I've looked at his videos now. I mean, it doesn't look crazy. There's
no,
some lower body kind of stuff that
no,
looks a
like
little
he,
weird, but what do you
yeah,
think?
like his hands are on it. I don't want to say a little different. It's a pretty neutral grip, but he always used to
Hmm.
have quite a weak grip. And then he was always kind of tall and skinny and like very loose with the like you quite get narrow on the downswing, and his
Hmm.
left elbow actually bends, and then he flexes his left wrist to get the face square, and actually sort of like chicken wings through the ball,
Hmm.
which I actually think keeps the face very, very stable for a really long time. And it would be easier, back in the day when I was 25 years old, I'd be like, oh no, you can't be chicken it. Well, you got to fold that left arm. But luckily at that point, I knew enough not to mess him up. Um, and then we started working a lot on sort of his mental game and his course management a lot. His dad does a really good job with that stuff, and we just got him like able to basically dominate any of his junior tournaments because he was just never making bogey. His short game was so good. He was really
Yeah.
conservative into greens, and I just kind of showed him how to put a score together. Now, interestingly, he was the number one amateur in the world his freshman year at college when he went to University of Florida, and he got into the U.S. Open at Winged Foot because it was COVID and there was no qualifying. So what the USGA ended up doing was saying, hey, like we usually have 15 amateurs qualify for a US Open. So what we're going to do is just take the top 15 amateurs in the world. So because of that, Ricky got into this US Open at Wingfoot. And we were playing practice rounds with, Justin Rose and Billy Horschel and some really good players. And Ricky turned to me and he's like, my swing's not good enough. It's nowhere near as good enough as these guys. Like
Oh gosh.
it needs to be
Yeah.
better. And it was sort of this come to Jesus moment. I'm like, hey, great. Like I've been telling you it needs to stabilize, right? But like you just never wanted to put the work in. So um, we kind of got to work. It was sort of like this aha moment. Who's like, hey, I'm not as good as these guys. So I got a little bit more width on the backswing, which is one of my preferences, just to
Hmm.
stop him getting narrow and stabilize the face, and got him rotating and pivoting a bit better around his lead axis. So he started hitting it much, much better. Ended up being first team All American his freshman year, National Freshman of the Year as well. So had a really good freshman year. And then interestingly, actually started getting, um, he played quite poorly. I think it was his beginning of his senior year. Was having a hard time breaking 80. And I ended
Really?
up, yeah, I ended up, having an emergency red eye to get to Isleworth to watch him shoot 82 at Isleworth.
Oh my gosh.
The
Yeah.
Florida coaches are freaking out. His dad's freaking out. I went in there and I'm like, hey guys, don't worry. Like his swing shit, and I'll sort it out.
Yeah.
And sorted his swing out, and they ended up winning the NCAA championship nationals that April, I think it was. So then he's been off to the races. I mean, he almost never hits a bat anymore. It's so great.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that because yeah, most people like think, when we teach these guys that are really good, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, it's always great, they're always flushing it. No, like
no,
we have some tough times. We
yeah,
chatted about another player that you on and off worked with before,
yeah,
before you started recording. Like that happens, right? I mean,
yeah,
these guys, they start chasing Instagram and looking at other players. I mean, I get it all the time from my mini tour guys. It's
yeah,
like I need to look more like this guy. I'm like, let's be you, bud. Let's
yeah, yeah,
let's figure out what you do well and let's stick to the blueprint. I call it the
yeah,
plan.
yeah.
I love how you describe that. Um,
And that, just it comes back to like what I was saying about my own game, right? Like I'm trying to
right.
make my swing perfect
Yeah.
and was playing worse. Now I look back at my own career and I'm like, wow, like I turned myself into a teacher and made my playing worse. And I refuse to do that with my players. And you realize, like you need to have a one-way miss off the tee. Like you
Mm,
need to have a shot where you can get it in play when you're really nervous. You need to be a phenomenal distance wedge player. You need to be able to shape the ball both ways. Like you need to have an incredible short game. You need to be a great putter from outside 40 feet and inside 10. Right? Like there's certain things that you have to do to be a really great, stable and solid professional golfer. And then the top guys have like defining factors. Like maybe it's just unbelievable iron play, or like they hit the
hmm.
ball miles, or they're an incredible putter. Um, so
Or there's also that it factor, I think, that it's like that what they have inside where they're so competitive or
Yeah.
they, just great under pressure. Like some of the stuff that we can't sort of teach, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We try. And I love the way you separate. I watched like I said, I do a deep dive always when I do these, but I watched your talk at the California Section Summit a few years ago. And I thought it was brilliant because you kind of separated like, okay, we have technical pieces,
Yeah.
we've got mental pieces, but then we've got performance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, talk a little bit about those three areas. So, what are your preferences? I know you're big on width.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk a lot on some other podcasts about that. So, talk about we all the coaches. I always talk about this on the podcast, not to go on a tangent, but it's like we're not method teachers, we're not model teachers, yes, but we all have preferences. We all kind of have things, but our preferences are based on what we know work for certain
Yes.
players, right? It's like experience, and then you sort of figure it out. Like you maybe made a mistake with this player. Like, talk me through what your preferences are.
Yeah, so I like a very wide sort of lead hand. I want the lead hand to basically carry the body rotation on the backswing. I like the body turning a lot. I'm not a huge fan of like the right knee staying on or the pelvis staying tight
Oh yeah,
unless it's a very young, very flexible female who's like
hypermobile.
able to
Yeah,
rotate. Yeah, if you're hypermobile, then I would stabilize the right foot and right knee. But I like quite a bit of hip turn. I like a little bit of pressure shift. I don't want them to stay too centered, but like I don't want the head to like go way off the ball. And then I will like my players staying up a little bit more on the backswing so that they can push laterally and vertically down into the lead foot in
love that.
transition.
Yeah,
That tends to get the club a little bit deeper. It gets the club kicking out and closing earlier, and then they can just pivot around their lead axis. So those would be my preferences. The irony is, of the best players I've ever taught, like Brendan Steele doesn't really do that. Like
yeah. That was going to be my
Rick,
next lead in is
right?
like
Like Ricky kind of
interesting
does
swings.
it,
Yeah,
like IK Kim, like she didn't really do that. So like they are only my preferences. Alison Lee, who I teach now, who just got named to the Solheim Cup team, she does that. She's definitely got my preferences. Emily Pedersen, who I work with on the Solheim, she's got my preferences. So Sarah Schmelzel too. So there's some really good players that I've worked with who certainly exhibit the things that I like to see. But
yeah,
like I think a great coach is someone that can teach anybody with any swing and make them a better player. That is a great coach.
yeah.
Like I don't see someone who's moving everybody into the same model just because they love their model. Like that is not a good coach, in my opinion. You should have a much broader base of knowledge than just be like, oh, I know this works, so I'm going to move everybody to this model. That's no good because you couldn't have taught Tiger Woods and you couldn't teach Rory McIlroy and you couldn't teach Scotty Scheffler and you couldn't teach Jim Furyk, and you couldn't teach Brendan Steele.
Yeah.
So like that's not a good coach. A good coach is someone who can pick up anybody and make them better.
So let's talk about Brendan a little bit, and it leads me into that very topic because I think this could help a lot of coaches out there. Is like what your process is when you first see a new tour player, and I think it probably is more applicable to somebody that's been successful in the past, but usually they come to us when they're in a downturn, right? But they have some idiosyncrasies or some kind of funky stuff going on. I mean, I teach William McGirt, like
Yeah,
he's got the craziest backswing in the
of
world.
course.
And we've never changed it, right? So he's made me a better coach because I've had to figure out like how I put the pieces together, in the downswing and the pivot.
Yeah.
So talk about how you decide on when you need to change something and when you need to leave it alone based on that player.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're number one player in the world or a beginner, right? There's only three issues, right? Someone hooks it too much, they slice it too much, or the contact's bad, or a very varying degree of one and two. So, from there, it's like I always ask the player, like, do you want to see a draw or do you want to see a fade? I don't really want any of my players hitting it straight. And then what do they want their miss to be?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if you're a draw player, do you like to hit a 1 yard draw or a 20 yard draw, or do you want to hit a block and or a push and a push draw? Scott Piercy, when I worked with him, I learned a lot from Scott. He was very, very smart and obviously had a long career on the PGA Tour. His first lesson with me is like, dude, if it goes straight, we've got a problem. He's like, if it cuts a yard, I'm happy. If it cuts 20, I'm okay with it. But if this ball draws 1 yard left, you are fired.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, like that's great. Like I have the information, I know exactly what's going on,
Right. Then you know the
and
goal of what the player wants. But I think how many times have you got a player that I see this all the time with the mini tour guys, and maybe they jump up to Corn Ferry and then, say they were really good at drawing the ball in college, and then they get to the Corn Ferry and like, oh, everybody's fading it. I need to fade it. Like, is there any like process of like figuring out or proving to them maybe they shouldn't do that? Or you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
there's guys that go the other direction and they get worse.
yes,
Like,
yeah.
have you had that occasion ever happen to you?
Um, Not really, no. I mean, I kind of ask extensive questions before we
Yeah,
get going, right?
sure.
In terms of like whether they've had any injuries, whether they've tried anything in the past in terms of like a grip change or some weird swing move that they've tried and just didn't work for them. So I'm getting a lot of information early before I'm making any decisions. Obviously measuring on TrackMan and Sportsbox. But a lot of the times I'm seeing the swings in sort of steeps and shallows, right? So if a player slides their hips, like that's a steepener. If they lift their arms up high, that's a steepener. If there's no body rotation, that's a steepener. If they turn the hips a lot or torso a lot or have low arms, like those are shallower. So a lot of it's like if a player's slicing too much, then there's obviously, they're coming over the top and the face is open. But like, is there anything in the backswing that I can change in order to make the shallowing process easier earlier on in the backswing?
Hmm.
With the good players, it's usually something small, right?
Yeah.
I see a lot of players now like trying to hit the cut, but then they get too steep early in transition and then slide in order to shallow
Yeah.
it out. Well, now your handle's high and you've got a two-way miss.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. Is like sometimes their DNA, you can after I do the same thing, ask a million questions and like, all right, prove it to me that fade's better than draw for you. Like, let's do a test or, like you said, put something together on TrackMan and go, all right, well, let's see what you got. Not just because somebody on the range, that you're playing against told you, well, a fade's better than a draw.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, those are hard decisions I think we always have to make with these good players.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the times you can kind of tell what's easier for them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. Their
now, and
patterns
there
more
are
easy.
patterns,
Yeah.
and a lot of the times it's like, okay, what's their miss? It's like, well, if I hate hooking it, like I'm probably not gonna let them draw it, right? We'll probably move towards a fade, knowing that when they go to the course, it's like might turn into a small draw,
Hmm.
and then they can play the small draw, but like keep working on the fade,
Yeah.
right? So even just this week. I was at the LPGA event, and I teach a Chinese girl called Wei Wei Zhang, and she tends to draw the ball too much. So a lot of what we've been doing is just like on top punch cuts, and it's like, she gets on the course, and it's like a tiny, tiny little fade or pretty straight, But like we're working away from what her tendency is in order to move into a pattern that's a lot more reliable.
Yeah. You got a lot more girls right now, ladies than the
Yeah,
guys, right? So do you find
yeah,
it any difference like teaching? I've taught some few LPGA and some Epson Tour players, but like two questions. One, do you find a difference in like probably not technique wise or what you do with them swing wise, but emotionally or like managing them as far as your relationship? And then number two is like them being the cultural difference. Is that difficult to communicate with them?
yeah, yeah. So I probably taught 15 or so, maybe 20 PGA Tour players, and it's probably close to 80 LPGA players now.
Mm.
Now I think I started out in the LPGA, so I think that's certainly a factor. Um, but the girls are a lot more or a lot less loyal than the boys,
Mm,
right?
interesting.
So the men very much will just like, hey, like this is my guy. I came in with this guy. I trust that this guy's got the answers that I need. He knows my swing. He's not looking for a magic bullet. He's just looking for something that gets him hitting it good. With the girls, they're very much looking for a magic bullet. So they're a little
Interesting.
bit more
Yeah. I
flippant
thought
with
that.
like going around different coaches. So,
Hmm.
for the most part, I've always thought girls that I've really enjoyed being around and have done that, but they do change coaches more often. Um, I was literally saying to someone today, with the men, you just have to be right. Like if you get them hitting it good, they are
Yeah.
immediately confident. You don't like there's no like bridge to confidence. It's like boom, I've got it. Awesome, I'm gonna play great. And I'm immediately confident. girls, for the most part, most of the time hit it good. Like there's not a ton of speed there where they're gonna like hit it off the planet. But for there, it's more like, hey, like look how great you're doing. Like, come on, you can play well this week. Like, you hope, there's a lot of
little more
like
cheerleading,
yeah, there's a little bit more fluffing in order
encouragement.
to
Yeah.
make them feel good about what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I say that was the main difference. And then in terms of culturally, of those 80 that I've taught, probably 50 have been Asian, whether that's Chinese or Korean or Thai. And I love the Asian culture. I love going over there. I love the country. I love the food. I love the people. I love the work ethic. But having said that, like stuff does get lost in translation, right? Like
Yeah.
I think I'm saying it very simply. They'll repeat it back to me, but like maybe it's not translated a one for one, and that word that I'm using in English is not the same translation in Chinese.
Mm.
So stuff does get lost in translation, and can get a little bit frustrating at times. But that's kind of part of the job, and the genius of coaching is more. I don't think it's the X's and O's. I think any average coach could pick out what's wrong with a golf swing. The true genius is how are you going to communicate in an efficient manner that person's going to A, understand it, and B, change a habit that they're probably doing for 20 years. Like that's the true genius, and that's what no coaches talk about is how do you go about that communication? How do you make it so simple, and how do you gain that trust with someone where they're going to change that habit, feel uncomfortable in order to change this pattern so that you're going to start hitting the ball better. Like that to me is the genius of coaching.
100%. Yeah. And that kind of leads me into my next thing I wanted to ask you, because I mean, I know a little bit about you, obviously, because we've met and I've seen you speak several times, but watching your videos like on YouTube and like watching some of your live lessons, how do you feel like you get people to change, right? It's like information's perfect. We've got the diagnosis. You seem to do a lot of demonstrating just from me outside looking in. Like I'm a mover, like I'll not all the time, but I'll get in and move people to kind of create feels. I use bands, so forth. Like, what do you feel like your superpower is as far as like getting people to move differently?
It's a really interesting question. It's interesting being here in New York. I was saying I've got my right-hand man with me here for the summer, Gareth Evans, who's a terrific young coach. And I was saying to him, he watches me give these lessons, and he's like, "Wow, Chris, I've never seen you work so hard." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, "You're like every single ball, you're like really getting in there and like making sure they do what they want." And I said to him, like back in Rancho, I'm just working with good players, right? Like they're more mobile, they've got good hand-eye coordination, right? I have to be right with the tour players because within 3 swings they're going to do exactly what I want them to do, right? Like working with amateurs, it's not enough just to be right. Like you have to get the information right, and then you need to show them what to do, and then you need to move them into the right positions. Like, and then you have to get them to understand that it's very, very uncomfortable, these motions that you're making. So a lot of it's like following a pattern, right? So with every lesson I give, what's the problem? What's the solution? What's a drill that I can move you away from your pattern? And then I teach them an error detection. So if the ball draws there, does too much hook, then you did this. If the ball slices too much, you did this. So at least they have like this game plan going away from the lesson. But essentially what I'm doing most of the time is explaining on the video and showing them where they're going wrong. Then from there, I'm moving to a pretty aggressive drill that's going to move them into the tendency that I want them, or the swing change that I want. So I'm basically exaggerating. So if they're starting here and I'm trying to get them here, I'm moving them way, way past where they need to be in order to immediately change the ball flight. So
you will get in there and move them around a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I'll move
that's
them
kind of what I'm
around.
getting at.
Yeah. So I'll do the drill first, and if they're not doing the drill right, then I'll jump in there and say, no, like you're not doing it right. Like this is what I want you to do.
And you get in there and I do that too. Is like show them how the drill should look. So you're actually hitting some visual cues as well. Like they get to see you do it.
Yes.
And then make them do it. If they're not doing it right, it's not going to work anyways, right? So
yeah. And I would say I'm a very aggressive teacher, which a lot of people like don't particularly care for. But I feel very confident that if someone does what I ask them to do, they're going to get way better. And
Sure.
I don't prescribe to the bullshit of, hey, this is going to take 6 months to change.
Mm.
I honestly believe that the player should be hitting it way better at the end of the lesson than they are at the beginning. Like that's the whole point. And if you don't think you can lead a player to get them hitting it better at the end of the lesson, you shouldn't be changing the thing that you're trying to change.
Right.
Right? And you should not.
You still believe that now that you're teaching amateurs again?
Yeah, I really do.
I'm
I
kidding.
really do. It's just,
Yeah,
but
and you're exactly right. I'm just
yeah, but
just messing with
it's just a lot. It's a lot more hard work.
you. Yeah, sure.
So and I think now, you get to a certain level where players are coming to you and knowing that you've had success and there's an immediate trust there,
Yeah.
which
There's a presence there for sure.
which I didn't have 15, 20 years ago, right? At that point, you're just a guy with an opinion and they're hoping you're right.
Yeah.
So, but I don't prescribe to like players having to get worse before they get better. They might be really uncomfortable doing the right move, but like that doesn't mean that they're going to be worse. Yeah.
No, it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the part of our job that we deal with every day. Now that your summer job that you have to sort of talk them off the ledge of like, yeah, change is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I get the word, this feels weird. I'm like, yeah, weird is really good. I should write that right up on my whiteboard. Weird is good. Because I mean, if you come in here and you're doing the same thing that you did when you walked in the door, then I'm not doing my job and you're not going to get any better.
Yeah, and for those teachers out there, like I'm asking a lot of questions to these
100%.
amateurs, right? Which is, hey, like, are you playing today? Like, are you hoping to go straight from this lesson to the first tee?
Oh yeah,
that's
it will be. Yeah.
that's a different lesson. Are you going to be able to practice between now and next week? If you can't, like, that's a different lesson. Like, are you willing to sit with the uncomfortableness and like hit some golf balls? It's like, okay, well, that's a different lesson. But I'm not prescribing the same one size fits all because like different people are willing to go through different amounts of pain in order to improve.
Yeah, I love that. So I've heard you talk about, coaching performance and like skill development, right? And I think that's important. And we can speak to the juniors out there or, even the tour players, honestly. What are some of your sort of practice protocols that you like to give your players? Like let's just say you're working with your tour player, and this could be applicable to our members as well, right? You give a great lesson, like you said, you give them the why and the how, you give them the drills, and then they say, well, how am I going to practice this, right? So like, what does that look like to you? Like, what kind of practice structure do you like them to have?
So I'm trying to get this bridge from where they are in the technical practice over the bridge and get into performance practice, right? Now, some people would be best off staying with technical thoughts in order to hit the ball better. Some people are best off just dumping the thoughts altogether and just being more athletic in order to hit the ball better. But unless you practice that on the range, like how are you going to know what you're going to do and what your thought process is going to be? So essentially what I'm trying to do is create the technical plan for them. Once they're clear with their technical plan and they understand their error detection, I'm then moving them into creating a bandwidth. And what all that is a fancy word for dispersion pattern, right? So it's like, okay, like when you hit it good, it's a 3-yard draw. When you hit it bad, it's a 25-yard draw. But like your balls are basically between a 3-yard draw and a 25-yard draw. So it's like, okay, well, over time, we're trying to narrow that bandwidth. But right now, like that's what your bandwidth is. Once they understand what their bandwidth is, you are then moving into the performance practice. In the performance practice, a lot of the times I'm giving you all my secrets here.
Okay, of course, that's what we're here for, man.
Yeah. From there, what I would then do is basically a 5-ball game. So they would laser the pin. They have to hit at the pin, left of the pin, right of the pin, long of the pin, short of the pin, right? So they have to produce different numbers and different miss patterns with the bandwidth that they've created, going through their full mental process, and then kind of measuring how well they do. And then based off how they did in that, then that is what they're going to take to the golf course, right? So if their bandwidth went from block practice, let's call it 20 yards, and now their bandwidth is 30 yards, they need to then take that 30-yard bandwidth out onto the golf course and adjust where they aim, depending on the pin, depending on where the water is, where the bunker is, in order to like score their best. Then from there, it's like a feedback loop, right? They play their round of golf. hey, like what were my misses, like what needs work, and then how do I create a practice plan in order to work on those things and improve them. So just trying to
Love
get
it.
them, this big sort of circular growth pattern so that they understand what to practice, how to take it to the golf course. So like you need to be able to help people shoot better, like even
Sure.
if they're even if sometimes they don't hit it great.
Do you still do the leapfrog warm up?
Yeah. I literally, my last lesson today, I was like, hey, let me show you a little thing to warm up with.
Yeah.
You do your leapfrog, you move it into the clock system,
Yeah.
you
Talk
then,
about that a little bit. I think that's
yeah,
interesting because I mean, you think, you could get labeled as like, oh, he's just a performance coach or whatever, but like the structure of what you do, I think is really brilliant. So
yeah.
talk a little bit about those two things.
So basically, every time you warm up, I want my players to do the leapfrog. So they'll just chip the ball in front of them, and the next one will go further, and the next one further, and the next one further. And then they've got their own personal record as to like how many they did. So we're trying to apply some pressure, not a lot of pressure, but apply a little bit of pressure to get your best personal score. But you're also like being cognizant and engaged into like how far the ball is going, and then increase that length. Once you fail at the leapfrog, that's your score for the day, and then you would move into your clock system. So you would basically do your 9 to 3, 10 to 2, and full swing with your lob wedge, your sand wedge, your gap wedge, your pitching wedge. And then once you're done with those, you would then move into I would call block practice. So alignment tool, ball position tool, put a ball
Yeah.
in a tee, get into rhythm, and see what your pattern is for the day. Take some videos. Okay, like how's my swing looking? Is it on plane? Is it in a pattern that Chris wants? If not, you're going to stand there in your little test tube and work on it, and then do the drills if you need to do them. Then get your pattern. When you've got your pattern, watch your bandwidth. Move the bandwidth to the performance practice. Measure the performance practice, and then go on the course.
I
So it's
love
a
it.
it's
Yeah.
a it's a A to Z as to how to practice and how to take it onto the golf course, and then I'm trying to run a lot of mental process stuff with my players so that, in number 5, post shot routine, you either gain confidence or you learn from it. It's like, okay, well, what are you learning? And then how do you change that pattern in the future?
You're reading my mind. Give me the 5 mental non-negotiables.
I have a 5-step process. Number
Love it.
one, number one, decide what you want to happen. Number 2, visualize what you want to happen. Number 3, feel what you want to happen. Number 4, commit to what you want to happen. And then number 5 would be post shot routine. So you either gain confidence or learn from it. So my all my education has been in psychology, and then I've been fortunate enough to learn a lot from Rotella and Lynn and Pio, just fabulous. Raymond Pryor, I think, is just superb now,
Oh
and
yeah,
probably
love.
probably
He's my guy.
cutting edge. He's so great.
Yep.
So like that's where like performance and mental is like where I was most interested in, and I certainly think it's something that I do that a lot of coaches don't do. So I don't want to say I'm full service by any means, but like
Well, we
I'm
try
just,
to be, right. Yeah, I
of
think
course,
it's
yeah,
yeah.
of
I mean, I think
course.
that's you've got to. I mean, you're out there with tour players, man. You're on a Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, and they're freaking out. Like, you
Yeah,
better have some tools. I was going to ask you like who your influences were. Like, I'm a big Dr. Raymond Pryor
yeah,
fan. I teach his stuff every day to
yeah.
like my kids and my tour players. Who were some of your coaching influences, like when you got started or even now, that have helped you along the way?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I mean, I've had some just, help from a ton of people, but I was never like a McLean guy or a Ledbetter guy or a
Yeah,
like I
we didn't have
never,
to work for them, but I mean, like
no.
anybody that just had an influence on your career.
Um, I think the biggest influence would probably be someone like Greg Rose at TPI and James Seekman, and James probably doesn't even know this, but I was fortunate enough to be around those two guys with IK Kim. So IK hired me when I was 26, so young, and like immediately like, hey, I'm on tour as a 26-year-old coach. So um, they were part of the team, and we would have team meetings twice a year, and we would discuss like what patterns she's doing, like is she moving in the right direction. So it was like I was kind of thrust into the deep end and like
Yeah.
learning about the business of tour golf, and how efficient and organized you need to be in order to do that. So I've learned a tremendous amount from Greg. James Seekman was our short game coach, and just to watch how James structured a lesson was just spectacular. And I still do it now. It's very much, we would, ask questions, like run some tests, see the patterns, take some videos, fix the technique, then move into the performance practice, and then more sort of situational reading the lie. I mean, it was such a beautiful A to Z process of giving a lesson, and that's been a huge impact on how I structure my lessons. I feel like I'm very organized during the lesson. I was lucky enough to stand next to and teach next to Jim Flick. My first year at La Costa, he was so great. He was always so complimentary about my teaching and a big advocate of what I did. So, I'm forgetting a million people who have helped me along the way.
Yeah, we have mentors from afar, right? I mean, there's hundreds of people that we sort of run into at workshops or be able to talk to. I just didn't know if there was one person.
Yeah, and then on tour, like Sean Foley's been a huge, I don't want to say big brother, but like he's like, he's so good with the coaches out there, and like so kind and generous with his time. And like when I first got out there, I was young, 28 or so on the PGA Tour, and he was always hey Mace, he was always saying hi, and like talking golf shop with me. I could ask him anything I wanted. So he's been a big influence on my life too. And I feel like Sean really raised the bar for golf instructors. When he came out there, he's talking about philosophy and music and walking patterns and, the Dalai Lama. Like, I'm like, oh my God, not only are his players like swinging it beautifully, he's like so far ahead on the philosophy of the stuff too. So like, I think we owe, there's some coaches like Ledbetter who we owe a ton of gratitude to for putting coaching on the map, and I would put Sean in that category too, because he really raised the bar as to like how informed we needed to be as teachers.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah,
I was coaching next to him at RSM a couple years ago, and he kept hollering over at my players, like, and he's hollering at his players, he's like, do it like that guy, do it. He's like, Guru's got him going over there. Like, it's just like he's just such a good dude. Yeah, he's been on the podcast a couple times, and just such a great guy. Yeah. So here's a question. So go in the performance realm, because I'm big on trying to get my kids, especially my juniors, even my tour guys, on the golf course, right? And like, how do you apply pressure, when it's very difficult to obviously simulate actual pressure that they're going to go through in a tournament, especially your guys playing, in majors. My guys are, playing in lower events or whatever. Are there any games or anything that you do, like just when you're at home, right? And you're with Ricky, like you're going to challenge him on the golf course, being a guy that likes to prepare more about playing as opposed to practicing. Anything that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything specific that I would do, but it would be like if we're doing a practice round 9 holes, we'll do a 9-hole chipping and putting competition. So it'd be like, okay, you get one chip on every single hole, and you've got to get it up and down, and your goal is to get 6 out of 9. Otherwise, you owe me $50.
Okay. Yeah. Consequences.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So 6 out of 9 is 66.6%, and that would make you the leading PGA Tour scrambler. So there's different games that we play, and what I would love for my players to do, but most of them don't because they're not disciplined enough, is like actually measure their results and have like one short putting game, one mid putting game, one long putting game, one chipping game, one wedge game, one mid iron game, one driving game that they always go back to, that's difficult, and that they measure their performance on it to see whether they're like where they want to be. And then in that 5-ball game that I told you, depending on the distance away from the flag, like you need to be within the PGA Tour leading average. So like if it's 100 yards away, I want the player within 10 feet. If it's 150 yards, I want them within 17 feet. So at least we're practicing.
Using strokes gained, to guide them into their outcomes.
Yes,
yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure you're like me. You use a lot of the stats like after a tournament. What does that recap look like with your players? Do you guys do a phone call, or you just like text message, or?
Yeah, I mean a lot of text. I mean, I think having been out there, I can't believe it. Saying this 20 years now, it's a long time. You realize that there's so many variables. To golf, so many variables, and like someone might have slept badly. They might have eaten something bad and they didn't sleep well, and then it's affected their golf swing. And it's like, okay. And then someone's like, oh, what's the difference between winning and losing? It's like I caddied for Steele. The first time I ever caddied for Steele, he won. But like a year later, he lost in a playoff in Hawaii. And they're like, well, what was the difference? And I'm like, I honestly couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. Like he ran great mental process. He stayed aggressive when he needed to. He just he like missed a 15-footer and like that was the difference. And it's like, there's nothing I would necessarily have done differently. So there's just so many variables. So you look at someone like Tiger or what Scotty's doing right now, and you just realize they're just much, much better at golf. They're just better.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So you're just trying to get the little 1% from your players if you can.
So talk about your relationship with Brendan, like, and kind of what you guys work on. And you got to be living the life coaching on LIV, right? I know I've heard the stories. I'm still trying to get a LIV player, so I could eat a little better and travel a little bit better. But yeah, that's a cool. But he's got. I mean, seems like just an unbelievable dude. The few times that I've talked to him out there, and like I'm sure you guys have been together for a while.
Yeah.
And talk about like what you guys do, like as far as like his blueprint, and then like when he gets off, and then obviously the story of you caddying for him when he won is unbelievable, and what you learned from that experience.
Yeah, sure. Brendan and I knew each other because we actually had the same agent when we were playing professionally. So it's the golf world's a very small world. The three of us traveled together. It was me, who was a PGA Tour coach, Brendan, who ended up being a PGA Tour player, and Joe Scovran, who ended up being a PGA Tour caddy for Ricky Fowler and now Leslie Goldberg. So we had the same agent, and the agent would just, he'd like rent a car and we'd share the car and rent a hotel. We all stayed in the same hotel room, and like we would just be together. So then I started coaching, and Brendan and I kind of like lost contact a little bit, and he ended up getting the PGA Tour, which was amazing. And he was struggling with his game a little bit, and said, hey, like I saw you just doing awesome, and you've got a great reputation. Can you just take a quick look? So he came over for a lesson. We spent a few hours like on every part of his game, and he didn't love what I told him with his swing. So we ended up just doing putting and mental and some short game. And over time, he was with Rick Smith. Rick's still a big part of the team and has been with Brendan for 15, 20 years. And I just started like watching him a lot. I was around him a lot, and just started understanding what was working for his golf swing and what wasn't. And Rick's obviously been a big help and one of the greatest teachers of all time. So it was just amazing to be around him and just watch his communication with someone like Brendan. But obviously Brendan's got a very strong grip. And he has a tendency to over-rotate on the backswing and get quite long. So then as he pulls down, he gets very narrow and has to tilt back. So the handle gets up high. And if he flips it, he's got a big hook. Or if he hangs on, he kind of blocks a little bit. So a lot of what we work on now is actually just stabilizing his lower body so he doesn't over-rotate, and making sure the club's down in front of him, that he's moving forward and down. So
because he likes to cut it, right? Or is he?
Yeah, I mean, he hits it
strong
both
grip,
ways.
kind of shut face cutter.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he even does that. Like, he actually just shapes it both ways. He's just an
gotcha.
incredible ball striker, and can do both things. But like, he gets upset. He gets upset if his cut's not starting on his line and moving, right? And he loves to draw it, but knows if he keeps drawing it, he's going to get in some bad habits. So a lot of what we do is sort of like some 3/4 punch shots, just to make sure the face stays a little bit more stable through the strike, and get him rotating on top of it a little bit more. I mean, I think of all the people, obviously I'm very close as a friend now with Brendan, because we've been together probably 15 years or so. Of all the people I've taught, like, I've learned the most from Brendan because of how wacky his grip is.
Right.
Right. And I'll never forget, before that first lesson, I probably was a little bit too much of a PE teacher, right? P1, P2. And then you've got a guy like Brendan Steele who does not fall into that at all. So I kind of deep dived, and I was like, okay, like, what's the similarity between a Brendan Steele and a Tiger Woods, and a Jim Furyk and a Matt Kuchar, and a Vijay Singh and an Ernie Els? And I'm just like looking at all these golf swings, and I'm like, what? Like, if I can find the
They
similarities,
hold it on the same end of the club. That's
yeah,
about it.
yeah. And like, I mean, there aren't any, there are none, right?
No,
Like, so,
yeah.
so I started like, I took like days and days and days of just studying these golf swings, trying to find some similarities. And the only thing I could really come up with was, like, as the club was coming into the hitting zone, the club's on path and the face is square. So like with him, his grip's super strong, so he has to have a lot of extension into his lead wrist to keep the face square, right? And he's got to be on top of it a little bit more with his spine so that he doesn't back up and get the face open. You know, Jim Furyk gets his arm super high and then like loops and shallows it behind him, right? Kuchar's super duper flat, so has to rotate back out in front of him. Like I just sort of like figured, like, that's the only thing that I could find in common. I'm like, okay, if I can just get people into that hitting zone on plane with the face square, like, that's really the only thing that matters. And it's probably been sort of the guiding influences on my teaching career. And you know, maybe I would have had more success with some like really technical players if I hadn't met Brendan. But like, I'm so glad I did, because I honestly feel like I can teach anybody now with any grip, with any move, and not mess them up. Which is a good thing if you're going to be a professional golfer.
100%. Yeah, it's like, again, figuring out why the odd swings work. That's what. Yeah.
And if you're a young teacher out there listening to it, there is no better education. Go and find the weirdest swings on tour, the weirdest, and figure out what makes them work. That's the best education you can have. The best.
Love it. Yep. All right. So last little topic, Fred, and I'll let you go. We have sort of a common thread or a common theme of we both have sons that have been they're accomplished players. Yours is a little younger than mine, but talk about coaching your son up through junior golf, and then now where is he? Did he commit to college, or he's in college?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, in February, he just committed to UC Santa Barbara.
Awesome.
So I'm just so excited for him. Yeah, he had some really nice recruiting trips to Cal Berkeley, Santa Clara, UC San Diego. So we were very honored that that he got recruited by those, and we ended up deciding on UC Santa Barbara. I mean, he's going to have a top 40 education. He's going to be at a great golf program, living on the beach in Santa Barbara. I mean, it's about as good as it gets. And I think the difference for me, I'm kind of interested to hear what you have to say about your son, but for me, being on tour and seeing how difficult that life is, like, I don't care if my son plays professional golf. In fact, if anything, like I would prefer him just to love the game and get a great job in finance or something like that, where he can really keep enjoying the game. Most of the pros are jaded and don't particularly like playing golf for a living because it's very, very, very difficult and stressful.
Right.
And you just end up beating yourself up 90% of the time in your mind. Like, it's very, very difficult. So as soon as I took professional golf out of it, there was really no stress or pressure in order for him to get in these AJGAs at 10 years old, and be a highly ranked player, because I didn't really care if he went to a top ranked golf school. So
when you say take it off the table, like, what do you mean? Like, that was a conversation you guys had about, like?
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't even a conversation we had. Like as a coach and a dad, I only had two things that I wanted from him. I wanted him to love playing the game, and I wanted him to love hanging out with me. And I was never going to be one of those parents who's just like, you have to practice, and I'm going to watch every single shot, and I'm going to make sure you're doing the right things. I'm like, hey, bud, if you want time with me, then I'm here for you. There's nothing I love more than hanging out with you. So know that all I want to do is hang out with you. So if you want to hang out with me, I would absolutely love that. But if you want to go hang out with your buddies and play, that's great. If you want to hang out at home and work on your homework, then that's absolutely fine too. There's zero pressure from me at all. So it's been very organic for the most part. And he's really understands his swing well and has been around me enough. He came to Korea with me to my academy there. He comes to the LIV events. He comes to the PGA Tour events. He comes to the LP. So he's watched me teach.
Yeah,
he's seen the verbiage.
Yeah.
He knows, I would say, a lot of the Chris Mayson preferences and mental processes stuff, more organic because I'm not like drilling it down his throat. But basically, I was just like, look, I just want you to love playing the game. And the fact that he's ended up being a really, really good player is just such a bonus.
Right.
Whereas a lot of these parents are like, no, he must go and play at Stanford and UCLA and Texas and Florida. Like that's the goal. And then therefore we've got to get him in this coach at 8 years old, and he needs to be in these tournaments to be highly ranked, and he has to have these scores. And it's like, I'm like, why? Like, so you can play professional golf? The chances are your kid's got no chance of playing professional golf. It's like, why are you ruining the relationship with them and making them hate the game?
Yeah.
For what? For what?
At what point did you feel like he was gonna want you to help him? You know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously, so you guys still work together. You haven't like shipped him off to another coach. I've only got fired once from my son, and then he hired me back. It's another story. But yeah. So I know it's you do have some tough times because I've always had trouble separating the dad from the coach, right? It's not, but I think we do have an advantage because we coach really good players, and we've seen how the parents act, the good ones and the bad ones. So I can always share that with, like, when I get a new kid and be able to say, hey, look, I'm on both sides. I've been the parent and I've also been the coach. Like, these are the things that I did wrong I'm a way better coach than I am a dad a lot of times when he was 13, 14 years old. So I'm curious to hear, like, how do you separate the dad son and then the coach student relationship?
I'm not sure it gets separated per se.
Yeah, it's cloudy. It's murky.
It's definitely cloudy. I would say I'm there when he needs me, and when he wants me. I try and watch every tournament round that he plays just because it's like my most favorite thing to do. And obviously, like, as a dad, it drives me nuts, some of the stuff, right? Like, I'm just like, how did you just make bogey from there? That's so frustrating.
There you go.
But like as a coach and a former player, I'm just like, I mean, it's not going to be the last time he three putts, and it's not going to be the last time he makes bogey from 120. Like, it's not going to be the last time he goes for a stupid pin. Like if you zoom out, like, it's like none of the stuff's a big deal at all. So, I really just want him to, like. And I think I've done a good job of him just like love hanging out with me and enjoy the process. And what's been really interesting, I mean, he's had a really, really good summer. He was runner-up in Junior World, and he won his US Junior qualifier and nearly qualified for the match play. He won his Cal-Am qualifier. Like, he's had a very, very good summer. But it's just a bonus. Like, it's just been a cherry on top. Like, the fact that he's incredible, and I'm never going to beat him ever again.
My days are long gone too.
It's just such a bonus.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And I think as a dad, I'm sure you can attest to this, is like, we have these conversations now, which is like, I'm like, hey son, like, you're really good. Like, you're way better than I ever thought you would be. But also at the same time, like you're not a top ranked player, right? Like, and you are going to college, and you're going to have to perform for the team and the coach. So like what do you need to do? What steps do you need to do? How are you going to work on these things? So it's more, I'm asking him questions that he's trying to figure the answers out for, rather than me going and saying, hey, your distance wedges were terrible. Now you need to practice this way. Yeah. It's like, hey, like
he already knows that.
Yeah, exactly. What do you feel like needs work, and then how are you going to work on those things? And if you don't have that answer, like, hey, I know someone who's probably got a pretty good answer for you.
Yeah.
So
I heard you talk about. Yeah, it was. I think somebody asked you that question. He was younger. It was several years ago, about him listening to you, and I kind of went through the same thing. And it's the difficult thing for me when he was a junior golfer was I was teaching 30 kids that were playing against him.
Yeah.
Right. So and we figured out, like, I wasn't giving him enough time. He's like, Dad, like, you're giving these kids like 2-hour lessons. You're giving me 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Yeah. So we started scheduling regular lessons. But nice. The point was I was going to make was, when he wouldn't listen to me, his friends that I was coaching, he's like, your dad's like really good, it's like he's a top coach, in North Carolina or whatever it was. And like, I think you probably should listen to him, but that's the son talking to the dad, right?
Yes.
Doesn't matter what you do.
No.
It could be Butch Harmon. Like he's like, they're gonna, sort of buck. But I think, our relationship's gotten way, way stronger with some tools that we put in place early about like, all right, hey, I'm the coach today. This is, you got to be the student. Or like, let's just go hang out. I'm the dad and you're the son. Like, let's not talk about golf. Let's go fishing. It's like, so we've just, you'll kind of learn along the way. It sounds like you guys have really done a nice job of nagging. He's my best friend. Like I'm going to be the best man in his wedding next year. So it's like, it's all, right. It all kind of worked out.
Wow, that's amazing. So what did you do with I stopped taking on players of his age because I'm like, wow, like why am I making these players better who are competing against them? So you kept taking on players?
Yeah, I could. I mean, I had to pay the mortgage. I wasn't teaching, I wasn't out on tour teaching like you. Like I didn't have these big contracts, but I mean, no, I had to do it. I mean, it wasn't an option, and they became friends, but it's still their time. I'm like, I tell them right now, like these guys that he's traveling the tour with, they're your best friends, but they're still trying to beat your head in. Like,
of course they are.
You know what I mean? Like it's like they're your buddies, but it's an individual game. So yeah, there's a lot of layers. We can have another conversation about the next level. But yeah, that's exciting that he's gonna go playing golf. I mean, I followed your Instagram. I'm like, yeah, this kid's really good. Got an unbelievable action. All right, so last question you got to, and I'll let you go to dinner.
Yeah.
So if you had to get a message to the world, to billions of people, and put it on a billboard, metaphorically speaking, of course, what would your message be and why?
Oh my goodness, you could have given me some time to think about that.
No, man, hey, got to do your homework, just like I did.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I get quite deep and philosophical.
Perfect. I'd rather not be golf related.
And this isn't like necessarily a message because I have to think about that. But like I just want people to be happy, right? Like I like wherever they find their happiness, right? Like I just want people to be happy and love the life that they have. And I've been so fortunate to have this incredible life. Now I've carved it out and structured it the way I've wanted it to be. And I feel like I've, for the most part, been in control of the journey and I'm doing exactly what I want with the people that I want to hang out with. And I just hope everybody else can have the same thing, which is like getting up and being excited to get up every day and do something that they love and spend time with people that they love spending time with. And I just wish that for everybody.
So I lied. I need one more question, and again, we can do a part two at some point. But I'm really big into like daily habits, right? It's like what makes you great. And I'm not out on tour like you are. There a few weeks out of the year or whatever, but it's taxing, man. It's like the travel, being on your feet, walking. Like you're in phenomenal shape. Like what's your morning routine look like, and sort of how do you keep yourself healthy? I guess, and leads to your joy and be able to do your job.
Yeah, sure. I fast every morning, so I don't eat until usually lunchtime, which is 12 o'clock. And I mean, I'm decent with my diet. I'm not like a complete maniac, but like I try not to eat sugar. I cut most alcohol out. I don't eat fried foods. Like I'm pretty good with like fueling my body. I try and work out 3 or 4 times a week, but sometimes it's boring. But I try to do it. It's more like a.
I was gonna say, what's that look like?
Paying it forward. I used to run all the time, play tennis and do CrossFit. I play padel. And now it's just mainly lifting weights.
Gotcha.
I did a marathon and hurt my leg and just like really haven't run much since then. So usually just lifting heavy weights.
Yeah.
And just all the research I've done is it's said that those are the things that you should be doing.
Yeah. What marathon did you do?
The San Diego Marathon. But I tore my calf muscle on like the 4th mile, and then it was just unbelievable pain after that. And I'm like, I'm never running again. That was awful.
That's too bad.
Yeah, got a strained calf. So I do love running, but I'm
me too.
45 now, and like feel like it just doesn't suit my body very well.
That was good for until about 2 years ago. Yeah, I've done 3 full marathons and 12 halves, I think, over the last 25 years or something. But knees started getting a little. I'm still pushing. I'm trying, but the knees started getting a little bad. But that's why I asked the question. Like, now it's like walking 18 holes sometimes can be taxing. But yeah, you gotta have the energy to be able to like bring the passion that you have for coaching, and you surely do have that.
Yeah, for sure. I love what I do, and I'm just feel very grateful.
It's awesome, man. Well, this has been amazing. I'm glad we finally could get together and
anytime
and chat. Sure, I'll see you on the road, or hopefully in California, maybe in November if you're going to the Top 100 Summit.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Tell the listeners how they can follow you on socials and how they can get hold of you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mainly on Instagram, Chris Mayson Golf, Mason with a Y. I've interestingly started doing some more YouTube stuff. I'm not on YouTube at all, and I've just had these YouTube influencers like, hey, can I take a lesson? I'll cut it up and edit it. And I'm like, oh, no, dude, I don't want to do that. And basically, like, refused any of it for like 5 years. And the guy's like, dude, just let me do one and see how it goes.
Yeah, I watched that. It was pretty good.
And it's just, I can't believe the feedback that we've got from it. It's just insane. We've like 2 of the videos have gone over 2 million views. Like, I've got thousands and thousands of DMs and emails like wanting to come see me, and I'm like, this is not, it's just not what I do. But I'm not on YouTube. So so it's just been bizarre. I don't understand how so many people are going to YouTube for their golf instruction. It's just unbelievable.
I know.
We've got billionaires at the club here who are like, oh, I saw Dave Smith on YouTube and I tried his little swaggle daggle. And it's my God.
It's endless. Yeah, well, they can't work with you unless they can break 70 in a tournament anyway. So it's unless they're a member at National, that they got no chance. So you're safe.
That's right.
My man, you're the best. I really appreciate the time, and let's catch up again soon.
This has been great. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
See ya.